Welcome back. Hope everyone has had a nice lunch break. Next up, we are extremely honored to have BDO with us here, and I'm sitting with Emilie Sleth, audit partner at
Yes.
BDO. Warm welcome to Ekonomernas Dagar. We're so glad to
Thank
have
you.
you.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Why don't we start off with you telling us a bit about, for those students that I'm sure there aren't that many, that don't know about BDO, and maybe also a little bit about what you do at the company.
Yeah. Well, BDO is the fifth largest accounting or advisory firm in the world.
Hmm.
We're 91,000 employees around the world in 160 countries.
Quite a lot.
So quite a lot, yes. And in Sweden, we're number six.
Hmm.
We're 700, so a bit smaller. And our headquarters in Stockholm.
Where you work.
Where I work.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And our managing partner is Malin Nilsson.
Hmm.
As you've all seen, a lot of women are managing partners now in Sweden, which is really good.
Amazing.
Yes. And I work as an audit partner, as you said. And I'm also the international liaison partner, one of two.
Mhm.
So I work with international clients, but I also work with the BDO offices around the world.
I see. I see. I'm sure I'll get back to a
Yeah.
question about the international career opportunities there
Yeah.
are at BDO. But what's on everyone's mind nowadays with the pandemic? How has work at BDO been like the past year?
Wow, it's been very interesting.
Mm.
It's been a year now
Yeah.
since we closed office in Stockholm. Um, then we thought that maybe we'll be back in midsummer, and we laughed. But that felt like a long time, but we're not back yet. So,
No.
um, well, it's been very interesting, but it's also been a struggle, of course. I mean, all the students know that being at home,
Yeah.
we moved everyone from being in an office every day or being at clients to staying at home.
Yeah.
Being at home, I mean, everyone has their workstations at home, but for me, living in a house, that's easier. But
Of course.
a lot of our new hires, I mean, they live in smaller apartments. They perhaps live with someone else who also
Yeah.
works from home, and just not seeing the client or never seeing your colleagues is
Yeah.
very tough.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, a lot of the students sitting at home are probably watching
Yeah,
this very show from a
exactly. Yeah.
student apartment or a one room apartment.
Yeah.
It's difficult. How have you guys worked with keeping motivation up and
A lot of
yeah.
contacts within the team every day. We have a lot of Teams meetings. I don't know if you use Teams, but that's where we are 24/7. It feels like a lot of Teams meetings every day.
Yeah.
Just involving Teams meetings with the client as well all the time, and just so that's the work part of it. But that needed to be done. I mean, when we started the pandemic, or when the pandemic came to Sweden, we were in the middle of busy season. That was actually easier because people were just working, you know, trying to finalize everything. You knew what you needed to be done.
Yeah.
But then when summer hit and then you have fall, we usually have like a lot of events. We have kickoffs and you know, afterwards at the office
course, yeah.
and all of that, and all our training that we usually, you know, meet all your colleagues from around all of Sweden. But now we didn't have that. So that was, of course, we needed to do it like the students here.
Yeah. Of course.
Go home.
Yeah. No, I want
And,
to take
yeah.
one thing you said there because you mentioned you were in the middle of the busy season.
Yeah.
That's something a phrase that's thrown around
Yes.
within auditing.
Yeah.
The students might not know what
Yeah.
that is. Why
Thank you,
when is
thank
the
you.
busy season and
Well, for
why
us
is there a
and
busy
most
season?
of the companies presenting now is it starts in January
Yep.
because most of our companies have year-end audits, like calendar year.
Yeah.
So you start week 2, and well, that's where all the big audits are being done. So it is overtime
Yeah.
work around them, which is fine because
Yeah.
it's winter, and then you can relax during summer,
Of course.
which is great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And obviously in pandemic times this might be a bit harder, but why don't you tell me a little bit how do you feel the culture is like at BDO? How would you explain it in your words?
Well, culture is very inclusive. It's quite a flat organization where not so much hierarchy. And I've worked at our office in Chicago as well.
Really?
And it's actually the same all around the world. Even there, where in the US, the hierarchy is a little bit different than compared to Sweden.
Yeah.
But at BDO, you can still feel that you're with BDO.
Yeah. Yeah. And part of that I know is your vision as well.
Definitely,
How would
yeah.
you describe BDO's vision?
Well, BDO's international vision
Yeah.
is quite bold. It's time to lead.
Hmm?
Uh,
In
but
practical terms, what
in
does that mean?
practical terms, well, it's divided into 4 groups. So it's leading through innovation,
Okay.
which basically all our tools and everything helping the clients and ourselves be more efficient. And advisors of the future is one part of that. But the biggest or most important thing is our why,
Yeah.
our purpose, and that's people helping people achieve their dreams. That's our international tagline. And that's basically meaning that we're helping our clients to grow and to gain success, but
Yeah.
it's also two-dimensional, so it's our people as well.
Of course.
Well,
And-
helping
and-
them
Yeah.
achieve their dreams.
And for the students who might feel attracted by that vision, what are some of the entry positions that you could join? And I know there are different departments within
Definitely,
BDO
yes.
that you might be able to take different career paths. You want to talk a bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in audit, so let's start there. In the Stockholm region, we have divided our audit practice in 3 different categories.
Okay.
We started with this in December. We actually did a reorganization in the middle of pandemic. It worked really well.
Because of the pandemic,
No,
or was
not
that
because
pre-planned?
of it. No, it was planned before. So we have the international and public clients in one group where I'm the group leader.
Okay.
Then we have non-profit, and then this is very Swedish word, owner-led, ägarledda, in another group. So just to be more specific on what you're learning.
Yeah,
or
and that's the
working
specific
towards.
part about audit. What else does BDO offer?
We also offer advisory, where I think for the students here, maybe corporate finance
Yeah.
is more like due diligence and M&As and valuations, those sort of things.
Yeah.
And we also have advisory in internal controls and
I see.
some of the smaller.
I see.
Right.
I'm sure that's interesting for many of
Yeah,
the students out there. Is it typical that you might start in one department and move to
Yeah.
another, or try out a few different things?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That actually happens. A lot of people have started with audit and crossed over to corporate finance, or actually crossed over to, we also have an accounting. We still have accounting at
Yeah.
BDO. Many sold theirs, but and vice versa.
I see.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then if when you're recruiting new people and looking at in particular students who are just about to graduate, what is it you're looking for? What are the main qualities they need?
Well, the main quality is being curious and wanting to learn. It's not really, it doesn't matter that much your grades or past experience is good, but it's not everything. As long as you have that, the drive or the eager to learn, actually, and be interested in the job.
I see. So grades not the most important thing, but it is something you look at, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Yeah.
do look at it and what you've studied, of course.
What you
but-
studied, yeah.
Yeah. But nowadays it's not that important for auditors. They
I see.
changed that. So
I see. And speaking of the past experience, what kind of past experience might make you stick out in a crowd?
well, this sounds boring, but accounting is
Yeah.
always good when you work with audit.
Yeah.
You always had a heads up if you already knows a little bit of accounting. But even if, I mean, all service lines, I was actually thought about that when I saw that question, but all service lines is really good because you know how to take care of a client.
Yeah.
So
Which is what
all
you do
work
at the end of the day.
experience is good.
Yeah, I see. Interesting, very interesting. Talking a little bit more about what the recruitment process looks like.
Yeah.
What do you face as let's say that the students at home feel really love what they're hearing about BDO and want to actually apply.
Yeah.
How does that look like? What do they do? They send in a resume and grades and
Exactly.
transcript?
They send out in their resume.
Yeah.
The first, well, now it's call because it's pandemic. But the first call is with the HR department with Sai. She's very lovely, and she does a pre-interview, and then afterwards you get to meet some of us.
I see. And does that depend
Depending
on?
on, really depending a little bit more about what level.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, everyone is students here, so
Yeah.
entry level. And actually, what you've said in that interview, I mean, have you said that I'm very eager to work with international clients? Then you meet my team.
I see.
Yeah.
So you're already in that first step.
Yeah,
You
because
guys kind of
because
look
you
at where
want
you might fit
people
in.
that are interested in what
Of
they're
course.
doing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Great. And you mentioned that nowadays it's a call instead of a real interview.
Yes. Yeah.
That's obviously very difficult for many people. Do you have any advice to people who?
I think it's difficult too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, of course they've practiced.
Yeah.
So they already know all the angles and all that.
And
feel
if they haven't,
comfortable.
that's advice number one to practice the interview.
Practice the angle.
Yeah.
Just so you feel comfortable.
Of course.
Seeing you, because it is tough seeing yourself while you're talking.
yeah.
I think so. So,
Definitely.
just,
Yeah. No,
I could remove myself.
interesting. And
Yeah.
you were the international liaison, and you're a
Yeah.
global company.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about how does that affect work at BDO? Do you come in
Being a
contact
global?
with being a global company?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Every day we're in contact with our international client or colleagues every day, actually. In some way, we work a lot with each other.
Yeah.
Have clients together, but we also have, like yesterday, I had a meeting with the ILP from the UK office, which is a much bigger
Yeah.
office, of course. So yeah, for me, it's an everyday.
you notice it on an everyday basis that you
Yes,
are a global
definitely.
company.
Yeah.
What do you think are some of the perks or benefits of going to a large company as BDO and getting to work in a global environment compared to maybe starting off at a smaller company?
Well, you have more opportunities, of course. I mean, you can, as you said, you can switch if you're not satisfied in one department or you want to try something new.
Yeah.
You can do that within the company, and you can come back if that's. I mean, it's not like switching jobs.
No.
In that way. So, of course, that's a big perk, and you also have if you want to work abroad, you can work like I did on secondment. We very much. It's a very good way of gaining even more knowledge about IFRS or stuff like that.
Adding to your resume.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And is that something that employees typically do? Do they do it
Yeah,
at
they-
what stage of their career do they start looking at those kind of things?
Around, we usually want them to have the degree or authorized public accountant.
I see.
Yeah.
Which takes
But-
how long typically to get?
Now it takes, well, it depends. I think you can write it after 4 years.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I should know this. They've changed it all the time. So.
But it is quite different from
Yeah.
person to person. I've heard getting that
Yeah,
becoming an
definitely,
authorized
definitely.
auditor.
Yeah, some people wants to do it really fast. I was like that because I wanted to go abroad.
Yeah.
But then it took me a couple of years before I had my own clients. So,
Of course.
Yeah.
And speaking specifically about audit now, it takes these 4 to 5 years to
Yeah.
become an authorized audit. What does the career path at BDO look like during those first maybe
During those
five
first-
five
Yeah.
years?
Well, you start off as an associate.
Yeah.
In either department. When you're associate at the Stockholm office, you work with all the departments because you don't want to be put in only international, only financial, that because you need to have all the experience to be able to do the test afterwards. So after about 2 busy seasons, maybe 2, 3, you're a senior.
I see.
You take more responsibility over the work, and after, well, when you're getting ready to take the test, or you're more an assistant manager, and afterwards you go from manager and senior manager.
And the
all the way
people,
up.
yeah, and the people you recruit into auditing, would you say that they typically are people who have studied accounting, or can they come from a range of backgrounds?
Well, nowadays they can come from a range of backgrounds. That recently changed.
It did, yeah.
So it was people with business administration, and it was very strict what sort of classes you had.
You had to take very specific courses
exactly,
to qualify. Yeah.
But that's not the case anymore.
No.
So hopefully we'll see different backgrounds coming in. I love that because it's so much more technology. So I think we're going to have more engineers actually working.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm curious, how have you experienced that change? Have you seen a shift
Oh, definitely,
in
yes.
In the recent graduates who become audits?
Maybe we'll be seeing that a bit more in a
Yeah.
couple of years. Yeah.
And do you
But
think, have you seen, maybe it's hard at this point, but have you seen students change how they approach their studies?
I'm not really sure about
No?
that. No,
I mean, we'll see, and maybe
hopefully. Yeah.
that's advice
Yeah.
because I know this has been many students worry about that they don't take the right courses
I don't
to
think they need to
qualify.
worry about
No,
that. No.
no,
No.
just do what they sort of feel like and think is
Yeah.
valuable to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
amazing, amazing. No, I want to talk a little bit more about how BDO work at BDO looks like. What do you think it makes BDO stand out as an employer or a place to work?
Well, we've been the most satisfactory clients in 8 years in a row,
Hmm?
and of course that makes you think of how what did we do? But
Exactly.
I think
They
it
want
is
to
all,
know.
yeah, it's all based by the people at BDO.
Yeah.
Like everyone is very relationship driven. Relationships is our why, like people
Yeah.
helping people. It's very much in our culture to be relationship driven, and I think that you can really feel that with the clients as well. So
Yeah. And
it
what
works.
what kind of projects do you do? Well, first of all, what kind of projects do you work with? But as a newly graduate, newly recruited to BDO, what kind of projects will you be involved in?
Typically good this actually, working with other students,
Yeah.
you know, contacting and having, spread the word.
Yeah.
Really, yeah. That would be your first, outside of the normal working environment. One thing that we really work a lot with is equality
I see.
also.
And
Like
how do you notice that at BDO?
like I said, we have a female MP or
Hmm.
mention partner, but that's just one person. I mean, of course, you need to have one person that is, someone to look up to, but you need to have that in every level in the organization. So it's very important to have as close to 50-50 in the partners as
Yeah.
well.
I see.
And the industry is far behind, and so everyone's working on getting there, and that is an international question as well, of course. We have a network for our female talents.
Interesting.
So they get a coach and, helping them to drive their business.
Yeah. It shows that you're invested in
Yeah, definitely.
helping
It's
women.
very important.
Yeah, achieve. Amazing to hear. Speaking of these projects that you might work with, what going back to the day-to-day activities, what does the day-to-day activity of an auditor or maybe a newly hired
Newly
recruit
hired,
look like?
yeah. Well, nowadays, hopefully other days as well, they start with having a Teams meeting
Yeah.
with the team that they're working with right now. It's digital now, of course, but otherwise, now is when it's busy season. You probably start your day at the client's office.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what happens when we get back. I don't know. I mean, will we visit the clients all the time like we used to? I don't know.
And you mentioned that it starts off with a Teams meeting in the morning.
Yeah.
I think a common myth about the auditor profession is that it's quite individual. But
No,
but
no,
but
no,
I know
no,
that you work a lot
definitely
in
not.
teams.
Yeah, no, you work in teams all the time.
Yeah.
It's not individual at all. No.
And how does that teamwork look like? Are you usually separated into different roles within the project, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually it is. I mean, our clients are mid-size.
Yeah.
So usually have a partner and then a manager, a senior, and a couple of associates.
Yeah.
And well, before the pandemic, we were all out at the client side together. You were usually in a conference room a whole day, so it's very much a teamwork.
Both within the team at BDO, but also
Yeah.
with the
With the
on the
clients.
client side,
Yeah,
of course.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely, yeah. So it's not a loner job.
Yeah.
You have to be eager to work with others.
Yeah. And I'm sure communication becomes a valuable skill
Very
then that
much,
you.
yeah.
Speaking of the client, what kind of clients? You mentioned you mostly work with mid-size companies.
Yeah.
What kind of clients should you? Is that something that you should consider when choosing? I know there are many auditing firms out there.
Yes, there is. I mean, both us and Big Four and all that, we work with mid-sized, but we also work with listed companies
Yeah.
and financial institutions. And so we're seeing a shift towards more IFRS and more bigger clients. But
see.
we still have a core,
Yeah.
which is smaller clients
Yeah.
that you work with, a day or two. So you can work with the whole range of, and we have a lot of organizations as
Yeah.
well. So
And with that size of company, how long does a working on their audit? How long does a project typically last for?
oh, well, it's very different.
Yeah.
Yeah, some projects it's weeks,
Hmm?
months maybe,
Yeah.
and some it's 2 days, and then you're done.
Yeah, and then
So,
you're done.
yeah.
So do you typically work on one project solely, or do you work at multiple projects
I mean,
simultaneously?
you maybe start with that.
Okay.
That you do. You mean on Monday you start with one project,
Yeah.
but nothing is really done within 2 days.
I
It's
see.
always something. So you have a couple of projects running at the same time.
Simultaneously,
Yeah.
multitasking is important. And
Yeah.
then I guess you'll be working within different teams on each of those
Yeah,
projects
yeah.
as well. So you
So you do have a lot of contacts.
you do have a lot of
Yeah.
contacts.
A lot of
which
teams meeting right now.
Yeah. No, I can imagine. Yeah, we're just about wrapping up here. Is there any final words you want to say to the students out there why they might want to choose BDO or explore more about why BDO should be their future employer?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think you should definitely come and meet us. Meet us at come for an interview. We have talent talent shows. It sounds weird. Well, those talent nights, and just be curious and ask questions, and spontaneous applications
Yeah.
are very much welcomed.
And then they have your website, they have your LinkedIn. I'm sure they can
Absolutely, you can
find the
contact.
information they need.
Absolutely, you can contact any one of us.
Yeah.
We're happy to answer.
There are many alumni from Stockholm Business School as well working at BDO
Yeah,
that I'm sure they
there
can
is,
reach
there
out
is.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're so glad to have had you with us here, Emily,
thank you.
and having BDO at Ekonomernas Dagar.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. And now we'll go to a short ad break.